Hi, I'm Trevor Williams with Global Atlanta. We're here with Alex Gregory, the President and CEO of YKK Corporation of America. Mr. Gregory, thank you so much for meeting with us.
Thank you, Trevor, for being here. Thank you for your interest in our company.
You started working with YKK in 1973. Tell us a little bit about what it was like for you as a Georgia native to work for one of the first Japanese companies to invest in the state.
In 1973, I was completing a 3-year tour in the Navy. I served for 3 years after Georgia Tech. And quite frankly, my wife and I were just trying to get back to the Southeast someplace. And I was a textile engineer from Georgia Tech. And a friend of ours heard that a Japanese company in Macon was looking for a textile engineer, so I went over and interviewed with them. My wife is from Macon, I'm from Eatonton, so that was very convenient and very fortuitous for us. So I went over and interviewed with them, and actually that interview didn't go very well. I didn't know where Japan was on the map, probably, and I didn't know exactly what they were doing and what the company was all about. They talked a lot about philosophy and things, and it was later that I was called up to the office in New Jersey to meet with the gentleman who would become my boss for many years, for 11 years, Mr. Yoshinori Kitano. And the minute I met him, I knew I could work for him and would enjoy working for him. And indeed, he was a great boss and a great mentor for me. And he continued to be so until last June when he retired from the company.
So what was the business climate like for Japanese companies in the Southeast at that time? Was there a precedent for this?
Not really. There was maybe one other Japanese company that I can recall, and I'm not sure whether they came first or we did. We debate that sometimes. But certainly to have a strong manufacturing presence, YKK was either first or second when we opened. We built the plant in 1973. And then we opened it in January of '74. I went to Japan in October of '73 and remained until the middle of January '74.
Wow. So were there some cultural issues that you had to work through as you started your work there?
Yeah, Trevor, you know, I did, of course, language being one and food being another. But in terms of the work ethic and get along with people and all, there were no problems at all. They were hardworking people, and I admired that, and I tried to jump in and work as hard as I could with them as well. And we had concerns when we were over in Japan planning the first plant here in Macon in terms of what sort of cultural problems or issues we might run into. But actually things went very smoothly, and the Macon community welcomed us and made us feel right at home here from the very beginning.
Well, it seems there are seems to be no inhibitions now for Japanese companies in Georgia. Some 350 now, 36 years later, after YKK and maybe another company came here. How has that relationship developed, and how has it become easier for Japanese companies to set up shop here in Georgia and in the Southeast in general?
It helped that we had a number of really good governors in those early years. Governor Carter being the gentleman who was governor when we were invited, and Governor Carter played an active role in welcoming YKK to the state of Georgia. And then the Macon community took over after that. But after him, of course, was Governor Busby and then Governor Harris and on down the line. And we have always tried to work closely with the governor's office, and especially economic development, to meet with prospective companies that were coming to the state, and if they had questions they wanted to ask. And usually many of them wanted to speak to a real company rather than to hear the PR information, and so we were happy to meet with them. Back in the early days, it was like the second stop they would make. They would arrive in Atlanta, maybe meet with the governor, and then they would come to Macon to meet with Mr. Kitano and some of us to ask questions about what it was like to actually do business here.
And you mentioned Governor Busby, and I think the Seuss-Japan relationship was started under his watch.
I remember that well in 1975.
And what role did that play? I'm sure you know we have the Seuss-Canada Alliance now, but what role did that alliance play in helping develop YKK's business?
Governor Busby was a real visionary, and he saw the potential for the entire Southeast, not just for Georgia. In fact, I once heard Governor Lamar Alexander in Tennessee say that he learned everything that he learned about attracting Japanese companies from Governor Busby. But he established that and quickly got cooperation from the other southeastern states' governors, and it has met annually since then. First in one of the states in one year, and then the next year it meets somewhere in Japan.